Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to All in Texas Football, and welcome back to Morning Drive. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow Lifetime Longhorn Young Prodigy CJ Vogel, and also our coach, former high school football coach at Belton, Rotan, Brownwood, Bernie, Capel. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head coaches. It is our coach. You can find his work these days at ShipleyRanches.com. It's Coach Bob Shipley. And look at now, he's out and about. See, he's dedicated. He's committed. All right, look at that. That's why we love Coach, man. He's committed. Even though he's out there doing some work, he's still funny.
I'm out in the woods, making sure all the wildlife's in good shape, making sure everything's fed. Just kind of chilling out here, man. It's just kind of I got the blues, man. No games this week. I don't know what in the world. My wife just took off for Cabo this morning. I'm like a lost puppy. So I came out to the stick.
Oh, so why you stuck in the cold and the wifey gets to go to Cabo and hang out? Man, there you go.
Yeah,
see?
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I'd rather be out here, Coach.
I'd much rather be out here in the wildlife, in the woods, living a good life than being. I mean, come on. I ain't going to a beach resort where you can't even get in the water. I mean, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah,
Cabo, you got the undertow and everything and all the rocks. No, you can't go out there in that water.
Coach,
so why go to the beach if you can't get in the water?
Because it's something about the beach, Coach. You can drink by the beach. You're going to get frozen drinks by the beach. I
can pull up the beach on my big old 75-inch TV, and it looks like I'm looking at it right there. I'm going to get in that TV water as much as I'm going to get in the water when I'm at Cabo.
Hey, Coach, how about
I go to a pool anyway.
When I go to the beach, Coach, I never get more than, I would say, waist deep in the water anyway. Like that's as deep as I'm going anyway. I ain't getting that deep. Waist deep. I don't want to test the ocean. The ocean, I got too much respect for the ocean to go out there and test it too much.
No, so I was a little kid when Jaws came out. When Jaws came out, I still have PSTD over that. I mean, I don't care if it's my swimming pool. I mean, I can hear that. I get in the water. I hear that song. My old butthole puckers up, and I start swimming real fast like a crazy man. All right, let's get on about football. Let's go.
Hey, man, we got to get football back for Coach.
That is a record. That is a record.
Lying, man.
That is a record. Coach going 3 minutes into the broadcast. Hey, Coach is already, boom, there it is. We already got something.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
It's derailed the show.
Yes, there it is.
Derailed the show. All right. See, we got to get it back on track now. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. All right. But I agree with you, though. I don't mess around with the ocean very much either. You know what I mean? I don't mess around with that.
Give me the ranch. You can have the ocean. Give me the ranch. I'm right where I want to be.
Todd said saw Jaws at the drive-in theater in 1975. How about that? There you go. See, Steele was probably scared. Still probably scared. All right, there you go. All right, I saw a dolphin in the ocean when I was a kid and thought it was a shark fin. Mine puckered up real good. All right, see. Man, we ain't got no football this weekend, so y'all can't blame Coach. He's distracted. Usually, Coach got football is on his mind, but now, Coach, wifey's out of town, no football. This is what you get from Coach. All right, see, that's why we gotta get Coach focused.
Get started. No, I'm not yet.
Edward says he prefers the mountains. Yeah, that's true. You got the mountains. You can prefer the mountains or the beach. Coach says he likes the ranch. He's gonna be out on the ranch.
That's right.
All right, let's get back. All right, today we'll be talking about a lot of different things. Of course, you guys know how it works. You guys run the show. You can interrupt the show at any time. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You also can hit us up with your questions and your comments. We'll address as many of them as we can. We'll also dive into the transfer portal a little bit. My man CJ's got some updates on the transfer portal. We'll talk about that. Any comments you got about that, just throw those out there as well. And we'll talk about the recent achievements of one Kelvin Banks. Congratulations. He is the latest Lombardi Award winner. So we'll talk about Kelvin Banks coming up a little bit too, and his legacy at Texas, because I think that's worthy of discussing. Tonight, Kelvin Banks has got a chance to kind of add to his legacy, but so does Jahdae Barron, because tonight, I believe you'll figure out who's going to win the Thorpe Award. And I don't know, is there any is there any mystery about this? It would be a huge, right? Am I right about this, CJ? Wouldn't it be a huge upset or some? To me, it would be a big surprise. I mean, I would be blown away. I would be flabbergasted if Jahdae Barron didn't win the Thorpe Award, considering who the finalists are.
Yeah, I would be shocked too. And look, we talked about it when the finalists were announced. You compare the statistics. I know that's not everything, but you telling me that a potential Thorpe Award winner is only going to have 1 interception or 0 interceptions?
Come on, man.
Look, Jade's sitting over there with 5 right now. And again, I know that's not everything, but it's not like Jade's allowed a touchdown this year. It's not like Jade's getting beat for a whole chunk of yards. Jade's been tremendous this year. When you stack it up, and I believe he's the only cornerback of the bunch right now. Look, the numbers don't lie, Rod. And the film, the tape, everything that you can use to compare and use in the favor of Jahdae Barron, I think you're going to be pretty pleased with that as well. It's looking like a really opportunistic night for Texas to bring home some nice hardware. Of course, with Kelvin Banks already bringing back 1 trophy last night. Got another chance to go back-to-back with the Outland Trophy with Tavondre Sweat from a year ago. So that'd be quite the selling point if you're a Texas Longhorns coach with what might be development, hardware, individual achievements as well.
Well, and that's what you expect from a team that's going to be playing on the national level for the second year in a row. And from looking at the recruiting classes that we're having, it looks like something that Sark's kind of liking and wants to do for a while. And I kind of like it too. And I think we're just at the start of something very special in terms of not only bringing the program back to national preeminence, but putting the Longhorns back in the NFL. And it was such a dark period for a while. You'd watch an NFL game and couldn't find any Longhorns, playing. And so now it's made the NFL much more interesting to me, and will be much more interesting in the future as these guys work their way on up into the NFL and make a name for themselves and everything that they've done, the selfishness that they put aside to embrace this culture, which is a culture of unselfishness, by the way. That's why not everybody fits into it. But it's just great seeing these guys get the awards they deserve. The guys, getting ready to finish out their season and take a chance at that next level. I love it. I think we'll see the fruits of the labor of this staff and those that have given into this program for years to come.
Yeah, I will do my I haven't done it in 10 years, actually. It's been 10 years since I did my last DBU rankings. I used to do DBU rankings, all-time greats. I think I did like the top 50, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. And because Jahdae Barron has played so well, I feel like I got to update him. I feel like now, because he's going to win the Thorpe, I mean, that's going to put him in the top 10 of my all-time DBU rankings at Texas. How can you not be in the top 10 when you won the Thorpe? So, I mean, talk about disrupting the legacy and the kind of DBU all-time greats. He's not – I don't know if he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore, but he's definitely going to be in the top 10 now. And honestly, going to be closer to being on the top 5 than he's going to be in the top 10, just because how many guys can say they won the Thorpe?
I was going to say, is that a prerequisite basically to the top 5? I mean –
my DBU rankings it's all about what you did at Texas. We don't talk about the NFL. You ain't got to worry about, where did he get drafted and how was his NFL career? Nope, we ain't talking about that. Otherwise, Rod B going to be ranked really low. So, hell no. We talk about what you did at Texas. So, we don't consider the NFL. It's only about – so we look at if you won national awards. I mean, that's huge, of course. Then we look at your your – conference, say you were all conference All-American, so whatever your accolades were, your awards were, and then we look at stats, statistical impact, and then look at contribution, right? How many starts you had overall as a player, how many years you started as a player, and that kind of thing. So those data points aren't ranked necessarily, but those are the data points considered when I look at my DBU rankings. So, and I know people, I get a lot of criticism. How many Thorpe Awards we got? There'll be 3, right?
Do we have?
We got Aaron Ross, we got Michael, we got Huff Daddy, and we got we'll have Janae Barron. Remember, it just came around in like the 80s. It wasn't, I don't think it was around when like Johnny Johnson and Jerry Gray were around. If I'm not mistaken, it's not that old. And I think that's why, so when I say I consider the Thorpe Award, it's for, obviously ranking the all-time great DBs, but before the Thorpe Award, I got to consider other things because I don't think it was around then. Texas wins tonight.
CB's
they tie OU, LSU for the most Thorpe. Thanks, CB. Appreciate that. I didn't know that. Yep, that would make sense. So we call ourselves DBU, but it helps that if you can have a lot of Thorpes, right, in your showcase, obviously in your display case, to be able to back that up too. All right, so thank you for that. We'll talk a lot about, of course, Kelvin. Can I ask you about Kelvin Banks real quick? Do we consider Kelvin Banks one of the top 3 to 5 greatest offensive linemen in Texas football history now, with the way the awards and accolades are starting to stack up for him? Is he in that conversation? Have we had this conversation about the all-time greatest linemen? Do they deserve that to be talked about? I think probably so.
I think you and Coach will have a better idea of the offensive lineman of yesterday, but he's certainly the best offensive lineman Texas has had since 2005 at the very least. Okay. And again, I think that you're going to see another trophy go his way, and that goes to the best lineman in the country, right? He's won the James Blocker Award for the SEC, the best blocker in the conference. That goes to the best offensive lineman. Obviously, last night, the Lombardi goes to Kelvin Banks. The Outland, again, would be the best interior lineman in the entire country. I know interior is a funky word, but they include tackles now. I don't know if there's another offensive lineman that you could point to at Texas and say, yeah, they've had that type of run. Because let's not forget, he started as a freshman All-American, going against Alabama, going against 4 different first-round edge picks, and he held his own. Last year, very much the same. And this year, he's reaping the rewards of the quite literal rewards of the hardware going his way. I think 100% he's the best Texas offensive lineman in my lifetime. But, hey, I've lived a little bit of a shorter life so far than you two.
Yeah. I guess the game to play would be I'm going to name a great offensive lineman in Texas. And you guys tell me if Kelvin Banks is better, I guess. That's the only way I think I can kind of throw it out there as an exercise. Do you think he's better than Justin Blaylock?
Coach, what do you think?
See, that I got a problem with this. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just not good. I'm just not good at it because I certainly like playing. I don't remember him being quite as dominant, but I mean, you go back to, national championship teams in the 60s, and I don't know. I can't compare those guys. Now, obviously, what we ask of offensive linemen in today's world is totally different than what they ask of them back then. They've got to be so much more athletic and versatile, mobile, hostile, and so as a result, I think it'd be really hard to do that. He's certainly one of the greatest of all times in burnt orange and white, but I just don't know that I'm qualified. If we still had Bill Little around, he would be much, much more apt, probably as anybody, or some of those old guys back off of those teams that still kind of hang around, the program a little bit. But there's been some great ones come through now. Yeah, I don't want to throw shade at any of those guys because, yeah.
No, I agree.
What do you think, Rod?
I'm just because I think he's gonna be in the conversation after winning that. If he wins another national award tonight, you're gonna have to put him in the top 5 all time. But I'm with Coach. It is hard, I admit, to start looking at something. That's why I throw out a great name just off the top of my head. Justin Blaylock, Leonard. I played with two of them, Leonard Davis and Mike Williams. Those guys are top 4 picks in the top 5 picks in the NFL draft at tackle. We're great linemen. Man, what about we could go down the list here. Dan Neal. Forget about Dan Neal and how great Dan Neal was. Dan Neal's got to be in that conversation. So I see a lot of folks here in the chat doing basically kind of the Mount Rushmore. I guess the easy question is for a sports debate and discourse: is he on the Mount Rushmore now?
I would have to say so.
I ain't got to say if he's better than anybody else. Coach, is he on the Mount Rushmore? CJ, you say yes?
I say so.
Definitely in the top 10, probably in the top 5, arguably top 3. But there could be, like I said, it's really hard after all the media attention that they get now, all the different ways you can break down stats, the way they're graded every single game. There was no lineman graded even back in the 80s and 90s. There was no Pro Football Focus. There wasn't anybody given the attention that these offensive linemen are getting now. So it's very more precise now than before. I wouldn't be a bit surprised back in the 60s and 70s if you had a 6'4", 250-pound lineman. He was the biggest guy on the team, and if you won the national championship, he was probably going to be an All-American, or something like that. It just was different because people just didn't know that to take the SID's word for it, or the sports writers that happened to see them. Because there was only 3 networks back then, and they weren't all 3 carrying football.
No.
You're right. No, it's hard. It's hard generation to generation. That is tough. I agree. No, it's tough.
I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because, look, Kelvin Banks still has 4 games, potentially. Still has an opportunity to hoist some trophies tonight. But you look at where he might fall in the NFL draft. I think this will be, and maybe CB or somebody in the chat can correct me, Rod. I don't know if you know it. I think he might be the first Texas Longhorn on the offensive line taken since 2002. That's pretty remarkable.
First round.
First round. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You're right about
Pretty
that.
good opportunity there for Kelvin Banks and company.
So,
yeah, but that's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah, that is horrible, Coach.
It's just unthinkable.
And this is a side note, but I went down it about a year ago, just random little NFL draft side notes. I don't think Clemson hasn't had a first-round offensive lineman taken since like 1984. I couldn't believe it. Just a weird side note since Texas and Clemson are playing one another.
That's a nice nugget right there. Man, that'd be a great trivia question. That's it. I'm with you. For Texas, it is unthinkable that you haven't had an offensive lineman drafted in the first round in over a decade. That's wild, but you will have one. There's no doubt in Kelvin Banks. I see some people talking about the Mount Rushmore. The thing about DBU, an offensive line is different. We probably should divide offensive line up into tackles and guards, interior, and obviously offensive tackles like we do safeties and corners. So it is unfair because we're so ignorant about offensive line play. That's what it is. And Coach is right, ultimately. That's why none of us are really in a position because we don't really know what we're looking at most of the time when it comes to offensive line play anyway. And that's the case for the NFL, the Hall of Fame too, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, same way. There are no stats to judge offensive linemen, anything like that. No metrics to judge it. So who's judging it? You know what I mean? So it's based off who makes the number of all pros and all Americans, that kind of thing. So it is tough. I agree with that. Mount Rushmore for Janae Barron. I love him. God bless him. I don't know if he's on the Mount Rushmore just because he went to Thorpe. That's how deep DBU is. I don't know if you're automatically on it. I don't think he's gonna right now. My DBU rankings, I can give you a little sneak preview. I'm not sure he's on the Mount Rushmore with just the top 4. And that's how great, because first of all, the Thorpe is like, it's not that old. He came around like in, I don't know, maybe the mid 80s, somewhere around there. So you missed a lot of all-time greats. You missed your Jerry Grays and your Johnny Johnsons of the world. And those guys, I don't know if you can take Jerry Gray and Johnny Johnson off the all-time great DBU Mount Rushmore. I don't know if you can do that. So those guys kind of cemented on there. And then Huff Daddy's on there because of Thorpe. And honestly, it's a fight between guys like Aaron Ross, Earl Thomas, Nathan Basher. It's a dog fight at the top of that Mount Rushmore, man, at DBU. It's tough.
Yeah,
he's gonna be in the top 10, but I can't guarantee he just jumps on the Mount Rushmore because of that, because of his award. That's how deep DBU is. Yeah, Earl Thomas, trust me, I get it, guys. The DBU
1986.
Is that when he came about?
1986.
Yeah. So it's, you missed a lot of great ones. Now, Rod B, I ain't even close. Well, y'all want to know I'll tell you where I was on my DBU rankings. My last one in 24. I was where was Rod B at? Man, I'm way out there. All right, hold up. Oh, no, I was number 19.
There we go.
Sorry, no, I was 17. 17. So
that's firmly inside the top 20, Rod.
I threw myself in the top 20. I probably will be. Honestly, I'll probably get pushed because of today, pushed down. I'll probably be at number 21.
That's a good spot to be.
When it's all sitting there. Right now, I'm thinking that right at number 21. I think I'm going to put myself right at number 21. But I don't know. I got to do the research and see where I land. We shall see. All right. Anyway, we'll get to some transfer portal news. We'll also talk a little bit about of course, we'll talk a little about the schedule because I want to get coaches' thoughts about the Texas schedule that came out yesterday a little bit as well. But first, let's thank one of our sponsors. Let's thank our friends over at Duck Camp. Duck Camp produces premium outdoor goods for the outdoor spirit in all of us. Duck Camp is dedicated to providing the best outdoor goods so you can outdoor good, whether you're an avid hunter or you prefer fishing or you're like me and you like to hang out around the campfire and enjoy the great outdoors or the camaraderie of the campsite. Duck Camp is a brand that understands the culture of outdoor living and the good times and good friends that come along with living an outdoor lifestyle. Check out their new fall selection today, duckcamp.com. It is great stuff. I can personally vouch for it. I got several items that I got in the mail a few weeks ago, and I've been wearing them out. As a matter of fact, wifey has suggested I order some new stuff because I keep wearing my Duck Camp stuff all the time. It is great. Go check it out for yourself at duckcamp.com. All right, before we dive into some other topics, CJ, let's talk transfer portal because that is top of mind for a lot of Longhorn fans. We'll get to your questions and your comments. Remember, super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. The latest in the transfer portal, we haven't had any news really from the Texas side in terms of guys, any other guys leaving. But there is news that Texas could be interested right now in acquiring some guys via the transfer portal. Is that the latest news?
Yeah, so far we know of two guys on campus today. The first is Purdue tight end Max Clare, 660 yards receiving this year, 4 touchdowns, 51 receptions, 6'4", 245 pounds out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Played the last 2 years with Purdue, was a third-team All-Big Ten member, I believe, and obviously made it to campus today. The second is Utah All-Conference punter Jack Bomeister. He averaged 44.9 yards per punt. 39% of his kicks were inside the 20-yard line. And hey, he simply just has a pretty big leg, right? He was a all-conference guy as well over in the Pac-12 and now the Big 12 as well. So 2 guys on campus today. Texas might be getting a visitor tomorrow as well on the defensive line. We'll keep a close eye on that for confirmation. But right now, a tight end who has a lot of time spent on the in line, right? And what that means is he's attached to a tackle. That's a big note for me when you look at Gunnar Helm, who's spent 850 or so snaps on the season this year, and 660 of them come attached to a Kelvin Banks or a Cam Williams. Texas has to find a guy like that for next year. They have talented tight ends and guys who I think could be all-conference guys later on in their career, but they don't have experience right now going up against a Shamar Stewart, a Shamar Turner, a Deion Walker if he stretches out to a 5-tech, even a Baron Helm or a Colin Simmons on the edge. If those are guys that you're relying on this group to have blocking for next year, it's going to be a long day and long season for me off the edge, especially with the brand new set of starting offensive tackles. So Texas has to go out, in my eyes, and find a physical piece at tight end. And hey, 660 yards receiving on a pretty bad Purdue team. Yeah. Pretty good production right there at the tight end spot. So that'll be certainly one to watch as well. But right now, 2 guys on campus. Texas has been pretty quiet. So we'll continue to monitor tomorrow, where I think you'll see another visitor make it to the 40 acres.
Yeah, Texas has been active in the transfer portal with tight ends. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
They've brought in a couple of tight ends via the transfer portal sarcasm. So seems to be a theme with them. And after what Gunnar Helm did at that position this year, really the productivity, nobody saw Gunnar Helm being the leading receiver for the Longhorns this year. I didn't. I think we do those projections early on before the season about who we think is going to be the leading receiver. I don't think anybody, no fan out there, no Longhorn fan watching here can say honestly that you had Gunnar Helm as the leading receiver. Maybe it's mom and dad. I know they're fans of On Texas, so I'll say so. Not a couple of people, mom and dad, and maybe some of the siblings did, but that was because they just loved them some Gunnar Helm. So shout out to that. I like that. I like them bringing in another tight end too. All right, let's talk. Let me ask you this about the wide receiver position. You've often said, and I agree with you, that every school should look at, bringing in, or at least Texas should look at bringing in a wide receiver in the transfer portal every year. And I've said it's the deepest position in football. In your opinion, because I know this is not a report or anything like that. You've been looking over the transfer portal and, kind of how things have accelerated the last couple of days. And wide receiver is one of the deepest position in the portal, and it is year after year. Who would be your favorite player for Texas at that position at wide receiver to go after in the transfer portal?
Yeah, if I was in the room right now making the decisions, I look at Eric Singleton as a guy that I would have have his name circled, right? He's a 10-3 guy coming out of high school, had 700 yards receiving this year for Georgia Tech, just had 90 against Georgia in that 8 overtime game. Texas is going to be really solid next year at the wide receiver spot when it comes to possession catch, guys that can run the routes, guys that can get open, right? That's Ryan Wingo. That's DeAndre Moore. Those are going to be the two guys that of for sure in that starting rotation. And then you're going to have a Parker Livingstone. How can he develop? 2 5-star freshmen coming in, plus a Dalen McCutcheon. You're going to have capable bodies. But one thing I think this team and group could certainly use is a guy with some 10-3 speed right there. Coach knows all about it. It's a different level when you can have some track level speed join you on the outside, when you have a Ryan Wingo, when you have a DeAndre Moore, guys that can get open in the intermediate, create some big plays there. A guy that can take the top off and has safeties aware of anytime that he's on the field. That makes a big difference in my eyes.
Yeah, we need that for sure. And it's just part of that versatility package that our coaching staff has done such a good job of getting. But when you look at return guys, when you look at, jet sweep guys, reverse guys, yeah, so we need a burner. We've had a burner the last 3 seasons, and it's really been able to open up some games for us and allow us to do some things offensively that we normally couldn't do. So I'm all for that, all the speed we can get. And I love that, taking one stud transfer portal receiver every year. That way, you've got a big-time playmaker.
Another speedster from Oklahoma just entered the portal, and that's Brennan Thompson. I saw a question on him earlier. Former Longhorn. Texas will not have interest, just to put that out there. But that's the sixth wide receiver from Oklahoma that's entered the portal. Rod, they play Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. I know they play Army this week, and Navy does. They're going to be playing back-to-back triple option teams, it looks like, with the way that Oklahoma's shaping out to look on the offense side of the ball right now.
They hired the new OC. They were able to pitch these young receivers that, hey, it's a new system. That I think it obviously goes back to the quarterback position and the uncertainty there at the quarterback position. So right now, I said they were going through an offensive identity crisis prior to, obviously, this exodus of talent. And I think just kind of confirms it that they don't really have a plan on offense right now for Oklahoma. And you can see it materializing with the guys hitting the portal. All right, let's get to and yes, you're right. Gunnar Helm is no longer the leading receiver in yards. It is Gunnar Helm. It's Matthew Golden. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think Gunnar Helm's still leading in receptions, but after that big game for Matthew Golden, he's now the leading receiver in yards. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's get to Super Chat, and we'll get to some of the other topics as well. But Jay Lee says, Rod, with only Hills and January plus new freshmen, why would guys like Mitchell and Bledsoe leave? Did coaches already tell them they have no chance to play? Yeah, we talked about this. Sadir Mitchell, Jere Bledsoe. I don't know how the meetings go now. Coach, we can get your thoughts because Coach, you probably know more about how these meetings go now with the players than I do. When I was playing, you would have your end of year assessment evaluation with the coaches. They tell you what you got to work on, tell you kind of where you stood, in the competition, in terms of how far you were from achieving your goals and what the coaches had envisioned for you. And I always had good ones, but I know players who didn't have good meetings, and they walked out of those meetings feeling a certain way about, their situation on the team. I don't know now when they have those meetings if you want a guy to leave, do you just put it a certain way, or are you just brutally honest with them and let the chips fall where they may? And that's just how coaches operate. Sark said that's how he operates because he doesn't want to have to deal with the blowback of some guy going on social media and complaining or someone, bad mouthing him behind the scenes. He says he's just honest with the guys and let them make their own decision.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate from what little I've been around that staff. I think honesty is the best way to go too, and I think it can sometimes be a very hard conversation because sometimes it may be okay. This is what you need to do. You need to get up to this weight. I want to see your bench do this. I want your squat here. I want your clean here. I want your shuttle time here. I want you, spending more time and whatever. Are you willing to do those things? Because for you to get on the field, you got to do A, B, C, D, E. And the room, who's in front of you, and we would, hopefully most of the conversations we'd love to have you on the team, but we also understand if you want to look around, you kind of leave the door open. But obviously, the ones you want to stay, you're going to do a sales job. You've got to do a sales job. You can't just say, well, if you got a guy that is going to be on the field in 2 years, do you let him go? So that you have to totally re-recruit that position to be ready for that season that you were planning on this, Joe Blow, whoever he is, to play. So I think honesty is the best way to do it, and I think that's the reason that I know it's working is because we don't hear the blowback. We did hear a little bit. Who was it that quit in the middle of the season and he tried to spout some stuff out on social media? Do what?
John Tay Cook.
Yeah. I think it was John Tay. He was a little bitter, I think, but I don't know that it was. I think he left on his own choice. I don't think he was, told to leave or whatever. But I think if he wasn't handling it right in this day and age of social media, we would all know it.
He'd be out there. Yeah. So I'm with you though, Jay. Opportunity is there for Dre Bledsoe, Sadir Mitchell to play. So why would you leave when you've already put the work in? Maybe it's a new coach on board, so I don't know his relationship with the new coach. And sometimes that matters. Maybe you and the new coach don't necessarily see football the same way. That could be a part of it. Not that's a bad thing, just different coaching styles. So that could be part of it. I hope it's not, but NIL can always be a part of some of these decisions these days because it is another variable. I don't know why those guys will leave. I would think that they would see the pipeline in front of them, but the pipeline was with Bo Davis and not necessarily with Kenny Baker. So maybe they see, hey, maybe they don't have faith and trust that they're going to be the next in line like an Alfred Collins or like a Vernon Broughton. But if I'm observing Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton right now, and, I would see, hey, man, those guys have developed, and it looks like both of those guys have developed into NFL draft picks who are going to be day 2 picks as well. So you still do have a pipeline going. Do they feel a certain way about the transfer portal guys they brought in? Did that leave them, their feelings hurt and leave them a little upset about the lack of playing time after transfer portal guys came and took what they thought it was playing time they earned? I don't know. I'm just throwing out different things it could be because I'm with you, Jay. It makes no sense because you look like you're the next in line.
Right.
And no coach wants to rely on the true freshman and inexperience at D tackle of all positions. So
there's no doubt. There's no doubt it plays on those guys' minds because you're like, I finally, Coach, what do you want me to do? I've finally done everything you told me to do. I've been patient. I redshirted. I've worked. I've gained speed. I've developed. Blah blah blah. And now, how many guys are you looking at the transfer portal to bring in my position? I think that's a legitimate question for a player on this football team to ask. Because when it comes down to it, players need to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the problem is many players don't know what's best for them. And sometimes it needs a coach to tell them, hey, bud, you can't play dead in the Western. Okay, let's help you find somewhere where you can play. Okay. And I know that those meetings happen. I've had those meetings before, but I wasn't quite that blunt. But let me help you find somewhere that you can play. I want you to be happy, and I don't think you're happy here. Blah blah blah. But anyway, my 2 cents. But I think it's very tough. You're walking on thin ice when you're recruiting from the portal with that current positioning room that you're out there looking to juice up.
Yep. Good stuff, Coach. Appreciate that. Thanks for the question, Jay Lee. No, that's a good one, Jay Lee. I really don't know, because it looks like you said, it looks like that's a ton of opportunity there if you're Sidney Mitchell and Jere Bledsoe. And for some reason, those guys decided to pass on that opportunity. All right, Aloha Travelers got a super chat here. Thank you, Aloha Traveler. Says, really hope Texas goes after a running back, a top receiver, and a few depth pieces on the O-line. Tough road games. Can't afford to lose a game. We shouldn't. How about Arch versus Julian saying at the shoe at night? Ooh, yeah. What are your thoughts, CJ, about the first part of Aloha Travelers? And thank you, Aloha Traveler, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. About Texas going after a running back. We talked about wide receiver, and we believe that's going to be. We've seen that trend with Sark. I don't know about O-line, though. What do you talk about a running back and O-line potentially in terms of what Texas goes after?
Yeah, running back's an interesting spot because I could see the argument for both, right? It all kind of depends on how does CJ Baxter come back? How does Christian Clark look when he comes back? Because look, the other thing is you're going to have a lot of running backs with the same build, the same size, the same kind of, strengths of their football game. You don't have necessarily a 230-pound back in the stable. Now, you don't have many options of those that are available in the portal. Obviously, the one name that comes to mind for everybody is Braylon Russell, the true freshman out of Arkansas. But look, if you're Braylon Russell, do you really want to come in and compete with CJ Baxter and Trey Wisner and 4 other running backs for touches when you just had a 150-yard freshman campaign at Arkansas? I probably wouldn't. So I think that there's an opportunity for Texas to go get a running back, but it's not a foregone conclusion. On the offensive line, I'd frankly just be a little bit surprised if Texas added an offensive lineman. They take 4 every year for the most part. They feel good about the pieces that they have. Obviously, Trevor Gooseby, no one's taking left tackle. You really like what Brandon Baker and how he's doing as a former 5-star guy out of Mater Dei in California at right tackle for next year. And then we've already seen Cole Hudson, and we've seen great things in spurts from Nato Umeozulu at left guard. If DJ Campbell comes back, you have 3 really, really talented interior guys that you're hoping to circle around and kind of base your offensive line off of. I think that you live with who you've had. In Texas, again, you've not seen anybody on the offensive line enter the portal outside of Peyton Kirkland last year, who's now in the portal once again this year. So Texas has been able to retain its offensive linemen very well. Whether that be because of the NIL, whether that be because of Coach Flood. For whatever reason, the Big Hewans have not left Austin, Texas. And, of course, it's not necessarily a spot that you'd like to be young or inexperienced at. But, hey, I think with the way that things are developing behind the scenes, they like what they've got right now with these big bodies.
Good stuff, CJ. All right, let's thank our friends over at Hardgrove Roofing before we move on here in the program. Hardgrove Roofing, with offices all over Louisiana, Arkansas, and of course the great state of Texas. Hardgrove Roofing will take care of all of your roofing needs, plus they're Longhorn friendly, folks, with partners like Lifetime Longhorn Bert Arbin and Lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee, who joins us courtesy of Hardgrove Roofing on Mondays on the Winning Drive. We appreciate him and Hardgrove Roofing. They're the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there, and they're always hooking you up. How about this, folks? If you call them today, they offer you a free roof inspection. That's right, free 99. You won't find a better price out there. Just reach out to them and give them a call, 512-645-3202. Or you can reach out to them online at their website at hardgroveroofing.com. That's hardgroveroofing.com. So thank you very much to our friends over at Hardgrove Roofing for sponsoring the Winning Drive. All right, Coach, before we move on, I got a question for you guys, but I got a question for you before we get to the question for the panel and for the chat out there. Bill Belichick, coaching North Carolina. I got to get your thoughts. What do you think about this? Think it's going to be a success? How it is wild, crazy? Bill Belichick coaching college ball. You know it better than we do. What What's going on, Coach? Please explain it to me.
Well, I got to spend a little time with Bielcheck when he came in. We had him speak at our coaching clinic one time at Texas, and I had him up at the hotel and picked him up, drove him around. He worked out some of our kids on the field, and he really has the personality of a shoe. I mean, he has a personality of a shoe, a boring loafer on top of that.
Oh, my goodness.
So, but I think his recruiting will be incredibly successful. I think he'll be incredibly successful because of the value that he brings to a young man's college career. Are you going to be okay, Ron?
No, I was trying to drink y'all. I'm choking, went down the wrong pipe. My bad. I'm good, Coach.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, anyway, I don't know if you guys saw the interview he did. You know, if I took a college job, this is what it would be. And he basically laid it all out. It's a farm system to the NFL, and if your son or you're a player off of your team comes and plays for me, we will get him ready in every aspect of his life to be developed for the NFL, to be successful, and then to get a good college degree to go on when their football's over with, whenever that might be. I think it's pretty ingenious. I mean, who else are you going to get? You're going to take a shot at anybody. There's not any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, who was it? Just took the UNLV job.
No, Mullen. Dan Mullen.
Yeah, Dan Mullen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you know, you're going to be taking shots. It's going to be a pot shot anyway. Why not get the most winning football coach in NFL history and just give him a shot and see what he can do? Like I said, he's going to have the attention in the room whenever he's there, without a doubt. There's going to be people with the stars in their eyes when they sit down with him. And then when he lays down his plan on what he's going to do to help them get from their high school into the NFL, it's a great pitch, and he can do it. And just imagine, look at the staff that Prime got together.
Yeah,
you don't think Bielcheck can put together a staff like that?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, Bielcheck, like I said, he's. I love it. I saw a great picture that said, "Hey, if you think he can't recruit, look at his girlfriend." Pretty good recruiter. Of course, I think that probably has more to do with what's in his back pocket than what's in the front. But
I remember Mac Brown once saying that, "Hey man, if I go to hire a new coach and we go out, I meet his wife, and she's not attractive, and I don't hire him because he can't recruit. He got to move on. All right, I already know you can't recruit, son. Even if you can be an ugly, unattractive man, but your wife's got to. Hey, if she's attractive, that means you can recruit. Come on, you can be on the staff. So to that point, like you said, he's got a mouthpiece on him, and no doubt about that. All right, so
here's what I wonder. Here's what I wonder, and we'll never know the answer to this question. I wonder what Mac Brown thinks about it.
Oh,
I truly wish I knew what Mac thought about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mac don't like it. I'm gonna say he don't like it. Because he's 73. And I guarantee somebody around there was like, Mac, you're getting a little too old for this. You know, Mac, it might be time to move. You know, somebody around there, I don't know who. And they were like, hey, Mac.
No doubt. No doubt.
And then they hired a 72-year-old Bill Belichick, who happens to be the greatest football coach in the history of the NFL. And Mac is the greatest football coach in the history of North Carolina football. He's pride. You can't like that. You just can't like that. You don't, when you break up with and you don't want her to upgrade immediately as soon as you break up with her. And that's basically. Yeah,
that's like all of a sudden you break up with her and she marries Elon Musk or something. You can date Elon Musk. You're like, what? How do I compete with that?
You can't.
She got all about you, Coach. She got all about
you. You're going to have a big back pocket for that one, Coach.
That's kind of how I feel about what's going on with North Carolina and Mac. So I don't think Mac likes it. So good point there, Coach. But we'll never know because Mac's too classy to let you in on that. But I don't think he likes it at all. All right, let's thank another sponsor before we move on to some of the questions here. Let's thank our good friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek Estate Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine. Super Texan is now available at your local spec, so give it a try. Of course, Flat Creek is also a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with that very special person as well. I've been out there, and yes, I can vouch. It is magnificent. It is picturesque. It is gorgeous. Trust me, it is a perfect place to go if you want to get in, set the mood. And my friends over at Flat Creek do a great job of that with that venue. So also, if you can't get out to the venue, you can have a taste of it with their amazing wine. Have it at your local specs, but they also have it at your local Central Market. I saw a display there. So I'm glad the good word is getting out about Flat Creek Estate Winery. That's flatcreekestate.com. All right. Let's get back to some of the questions here on the line here. Okay, how about this one from Juan? This is from you, CJ. He says, CJ, I haven't been able to watch all the videos lately. Did you already eat the mayo corn dog for the #1 recruiting class? Whoa, you were supposed to eat a mayo corn? You agreed to this?
I said I would. I didn't think. I didn't think Texas would land Justice Terry and end up #1, but here we go. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I gotta do that someday.
That's disgusting. That is. Yeah. How do you prefer your corn dog with just a little mustard on it, right? A little mustard. Yeah, simple, right? That's what you want. Mustard. Look, maybe a little ketchup. I'm a mustard guy with my corn dog though. I like it a little crispy. I want my corn dog a little crispy. I don't want to. Yeah, a little crisp on that thing. All right. How about this one from King Kunta? He says, "Is Texas interested in Tacario Davis, the corner, the 6'3" corner out of Arizona?" Yeah, I hear there's some insider. I would pull his name up here, but there's an insider from Arizona that covers Arizona that claims that he thinks Texas is the leader for Tacario Davis. I'll get his name here in a second. Jason Shear, I believe is his name. What are your thoughts, CJ, about that?
Yeah, he's a heck of a football player. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up going pro, but he's in the portal right now. And look, if he wants to come to Texas, Texas would gladly take him, I think. Again, he's a 6'4" cornerback with great speed. He can run. He goes up against a Tutoria McMillan over there in practice over in Arizona every day. He played under Coach Nansen. Look, I think there's a lot of ties to Texas, and of course, that's a day 2 pick in the NFL draft. If he's looking for another opportunity to play one more round in college ball, I don't know how you say no.
I love that. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of his. Actually, I started following him because I thought Texas. There were some rumors that Texas would be interested in him, that he was going to hit the transfer portal a year ago, and that didn't happen. I started watching some film on him. There's no doubt, definitely an NFL guy with a Sunday skill set. All right, before we get to the question, I got a question for you guys since we're celebrating potentially 2 national award winners for Texas this season, because we know that Kelvin Banks already won the Lombardi, and tonight he's going to be up for the Outland. Could end up winning the Outland as well. So some people that said think he's a favorite to win the Outland. Jahdae Barron, I think, is a favorite to win the Thorpe Award tonight as well. Give me your guess about the next year's best case for a national award winner. Ooh. Next year's, give me 2025, because this is back-to-back years. You got T'Vondre Sweat won one last year, as a national award winner.
The answer's easy.
Yes,
the answer's easy. I could go really polarizing with this one, but I'm not. It's Anthony Hill. It's the Buckus.
Okay, that's good. You're right.
The biggest snub there was this year was Anthony Hill. I think, again, if he puts up a season just any similar to that of next year, it'll be Anthony Hill. Now, we'll see what happens at quarterback.
Oh, okay. Oh, man. Okay, that'd be awesome, actually. But, Coach, what are your thoughts? You got a prediction? Let's say next year's get wild prediction, whatever. Who has the best chance for be a national award winner next season on this roster?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt Anthony Hill is #1, but I'm not so sure that if we don't see a good, a great offseason for Colin Simmons that he doesn't work his way into that as well.
Like that.
And how well and how strong will C.J. Baxter, come back? I think C.J. Baxter is a guy that could be on the same level as some of the backs that we've had. So I think he's a dark horse, but I think he has the talent, to do it. And of course, whichever quarterback is a quarterback next year will certainly have an opportunity, I think. And then who in the back end may have an opportunity? Right.
I say Malik Muhammad.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you might say that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. He played really well this year. Wasn't tested a ton, but yeah. And CB's right about. Listen, the reason that Arch Manning's gonna have a really good chance because he's gonna be in the Heisman conversation, whether fair or not, just because Vegas is gonna put him there early. Just because Vegas know people like to bet on big names. So you already know the preseason hype is gonna have him among the top I would say it's gonna be top 4 to 5 Heisman odds next season. Easy, right?
Well, and that will either rise or temper the expectations after August 30th.
That's a good point, Coach.
When we go up to Columbus, that's going to be huge.
Oh, that's true, Coach. And
it's
if
going to
he
be a tough
balls
place
out,
to start.
No, but if he balls out there, Coach, there's nothing really to test to really tank those, right? To really tank those odds until what?
Oklahoma,
Arkansas, Texas
October.
A&M.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Florida maybe.
Florida maybe.
Florida's the one. But that's like half this. That's like the middle of the season, basically.
Yeah.
By the time you get there.
Yeah.
I like this one, Sicario Davis for the Thorpe. I like that one. That was a good one. Someone says Taafe comes back. Taafe Daddy comes back, gives Texas back-to-back Thorpe Award winners. That would be great. If Taafe. Listen, can we talk about Taafe Daddy real quick? Real quick. Because Pro Football Focus, they love Michael Taafe. I sent Matthew these tweets that they had out. They tweeted out their All-American team recently, but they tweeted also their top 10 highest graded players, I believe, Power 4 graded players. But here's their All-American secondary. 2 Longhorns. This is based off their Pro Football Focus grades, of course. They got Michael Taafe and Janae Barron, along with Travis Hunter, Xavier Watts as their All-American secondary. They got Michael Taafe as the highest graded safety in the country coming out and on their All-American team. And I still don't know if Taafe is coming back or not. I don't know, and we don't know if he's going to go to the NFL. We talked about this. I don't think he's going to really increase his draft stock a lot. I mean, they have him there. So look at that. I mean, he's the 5th highest graded player in the college football playoff, according to them.
So in a tough spot.
Yeah, right. I think so because I would come back is what I'm thinking right now. But I don't want to. I'm not trying to hate on Taafe either. By the way, I'm a Taafe fan. You know what I mean? But I think I would come back. But I'm not trying to say that he can't play at the next level. I think he can. I don't know if he can increase his draft stock either way. But
that's the issue.
And maybe it's like this though, CJ and Coach, that this is the highest his draft stock will ever be. This is why you got to leave. And does that mean he's going to get drafted high? No, I think he still might get drafted 6th, 7th round. But hey, man, that's still your NFL dreams, and that's what he I think ultimately wants is to be drafted.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, we had the same conversation with Jalen Ford last year. He probably had the better statistical season in 2022 when he was the runner-up for the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Come back one more year to improve the draft stock, and for whatever reason, the turnover luck just didn't find you. It goes in the 5th round in New Orleans. Was his stock higher? Probably. But you come back because, 1, you'd like to win something of note at Texas. He did that. 2, NIL is a big factor.
Yeah.
And then 3, you're expecting that your play improves and that your draft stock improves for the next year, right? I think Taafe's in a similar spot. The issue is what's the current draft value for Michael Taafe? And again, I've said this from the jump. I think he's going to outperform whatever his draft stock is, simply for the fact that he's got it here. He's a student of the game. He's a guy that's going to walk in and be a leader anywhere he goes. He's going to live in the facility. But that doesn't matter if you're an NFL draft scout and your your job relies on finding the biggest, fastest, strongest that can play on the field, right?
Yep.
That's the issue.
Yep. I agree. Coach, you got
I tell you what, I think a guy like Michael Taafe, though, he might not be able to improve his draft status if he stays another year. But I think, and don't sell him short in this area, I think his one thing he needs to consider as well is the legacy he's leaving behind.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's making money now anyway, okay? I know that after the 2008 season, Jordan and Colt both could have came out. Several people thought they might come out. They never even thought about it, actually, because they thought they could win the national championship the next year. They should have won it in 2008. But Jordan didn't really help his draft stock any when he came back. He probably had a better junior he had a better kick returning season, I think, his junior year than he did his senior year, but I don't think he helped his draft stock any. But what he did was coming back with Colt and having such a great senior year, it gave him so much more name and face value that he is successful now in business to a certain degree. I'm not taking anything away from his talent, but because of the name that he made for himself at the University of Texas. And just look at what Michael Taafe can do. He's obviously a crowd favorite. He comes because he takes care of his business. He does, he does everything right. And he's a joy. He's positive. He picks up other teammates. His teammates really, consider coming back another year and just really adding to your legacy as a Texas Longhorn, because that's what he's always wanted to be. That's what he's always wanted to do. He'll never have another opportunity to live this part of his life. I say come back and have fun another year, help Texas in the playoffs again, and solidify your legacy forever, and he'll be set for the rest of his life, business-wise, I think, because of the name.
That's a good point.
No, I agree with that, Coach. That's
my two cents from a man whose son has been greatly blessed by the name he made for himself at this great university. And so I speak from firsthand knowledge. It can change your life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It can change your life.
No, I agree with that. Trust me. I also am a testament to that as well. The Longhorn Nation, they will embrace you. Right? If you've earned that, they will embrace you. Jeff says, Rod, why do you call Taafe Daddy? Sounds a little zesty. I honestly, I don't even know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I started doing it because when they said he helped close the commitment for Arch Manning, I was like, oh man, he needs a nickname. I was like, my rant was like, basically he's out there, balling out of control. He needs a nickname, and I started calling him Taafe Daddy. And so I probably should have found a better nickname, but I don't know. I just kept rolling with it, and it stuck. It stuck for me anyway, not for anybody else. So I used to call it Huff Daddy, and I don't even know when we started calling Huff Daddy, because now with Puff Daddy, and then you don't want the not a good look. So I can
promise you that's one guy's name, and I can promise you Michael Huff is one guy whose name is not on that list.
But back then that was cool. All right, man, it was cool. So we were calling him Huff, Huff Daddy, because Huff Daddy, and not cool anymore. So I don't know. I apologize. I probably shouldn't be calling him Taafe Daddy. He probably does not like it. And now the reference is also not politically correct. To that reference is Huff Daddy. So yeah, gotta retire the nickname. You're right. My bad. We'll try to find a new nickname for Taafe Daddy. Thank you very much for Taafe. See, I can't even say his name without saying it. It's just like now a second nature. Let's hit our last sponsor here, South Point Dodge, before we get ready in the show. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point at South Point Dodge. They have over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including a great selection of Ram 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is the one-stop shop. Score big today at South Point Dodge. And right now, they have a great deal happening with over 50 Ram 2500s, all marked down with huge savings right now at South Point Dodge. So you reach out to them today at southpointdodge.com. And you can see their fantastic inventory online, or you can go visit them in person off of I-35 in South Austin and go check out their inventory there as well. Whatever your truck needs, South Point Dodge is the one-stop shop. South Point Dodge, Austin's automotive everything, southpointdodge.com. All right, appreciate our friends over at southpointdodge.com for sponsoring the winning drive. All right, I want to get you guys' thoughts real quick. I know we are getting close to the end of the live stream, but we haven't talked about Clemson, and we don't talk. We're gonna obviously dive deep into them next week. The Longhorns have an off week here before we start really diving into this matchup. But Coach, I haven't got your thoughts about what you think about this matchup, just the kind of the matchup in general, Clemson style of play versus what Texas does. Is there any concern for you in this matchup?
Yes.
Texas versus, you have concern.
I have concerns because Dabo Swinney didn't just fall off the turnip truck. He's a guy who has been there. He's been successful. He's won the big one. He knows what it takes. And really, it's almost a statement game in my mind for him because of the stand that he's made on the portal and NIL and all those things. It's kind of like he's going up against the beast in the, you know what I mean? The team that has raised the most, the program that has raised the most money for NIL, a team that's not afraid to go out and the portal and improve their roster in key positions. And so I feel like that if he comes in and gets really beat down by Texas, that it will really put a damper on his message and on his philosophy with how he's handled these things. And so I really feel like that he'll have his team ready to play as well as they can possibly play. Whether they can still play with Texas, I don't know, but we've seen it before. It happens every season. Several times this season, there's teams that are, and Texas could be looking ahead thinking, man, I mean, there's just a lot of things that worry me about this. Time off worries me, kind of getting, I mean, you need a time off obviously to heal, but you need to kind of stay in rhythm. And, but there's some things that are obvious problems for us that we need to deal with. The red zone and, our kicking and punting and special teams and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things we have to work on as well and be focused on. But I hope that we don't take this team or this coaching staff lightly because I really think they're a great staff. And I think he's a winner.
Yep, no doubt. No, he is a winner. There's no doubt about that. The Cade Klubnik thing, he's a gamer, and that worries me a little bit because he's a dual threat, and Texas just, obviously had some issues with Georgia's dual threat quarterback a little bit too. So yeah, there are some things, but I think Texas is no doubt a better team. And CJ, isn't that the line? Was it 9? Was it a 9.5 point spread for Texas?
About 10.5, I think 10.5 or 11. So it's north of 10 now. But
why is it such a big number? What is that? That's the biggest, right? That is the biggest spread of all the games, right?
Yeah, it is. And I can't tell you what it is specifically, but look, I think Texas has an advantage a little bit in both trenches. I think that does travel. Texas playing at home probably adds 3.5 or 4 points to the line itself, just out of familiarity and having the crowd behind them. But look, I'm with Coach. I don't think Clemson's a team that you can just push over and walk over, right? That's not who Clemson is as a program. They're normally a tough team, especially on the defensive line in that front seven. They have two really good linebackers as well. I don't think it's a matchup I necessarily love for Texas, but I do think Texas has more complete talent on its roster right now, and playing at home should be enough to get you over the hump. 11 points, I don't know, but it's not a matchup I love fully right now for Texas.
Do we all agree? Well, maybe I'll ask, who's the most important player in the playoffs for Texas? Is it just as simple as it's Quinn?
I think so.
It's just that simple. Right?
I think it should. Look, you need 24 points to win games. You'll win every game in the playoffs if you score 24 points, and that's my opinion. Now that obviously not fact, but can you get to 24 points? You didn't against Texas A&M. You probably should have had 30. You didn't against Georgia. You kicked 6 field goals. You missed 2 of them. You kick 6 field goals in any game moving forward, well, that puts you under the threshold of what I believe is going to be the mark that you need to win these football games with the way that this defense is playing. Look, a running game would certainly help. A running game would have gone a long way against Georgia in that SEC championship game. But at the end of the day, if you're going to put the ball in the hands of Quinn Ewers, he's got to be the one that comes up and makes the throws. And I thought he played well against Georgia. It just wasn't well enough when you consider the situations that Texas was in later in the game. On that last drive and in overtime, Quinn has to be better.
Yeah, he was. I love the. There's a Pro Football Focus stat that basically said if you look at Quinn, he had a 92 grade overall prior to getting to the 30-yard line, basically. Right, if you look at any time that he was throwing, he was in the field prior to getting to the 30-yard line, they had him with a 92 grade. And then inside the 30-yard line, they had him with a 44 passing grade.
Not great. The
First
field
half,
condenses and the play.
Yes, it does. And they had him in the first half, 92.7 passing grade. And they had him in the second half with a 60 passing grade in overtime. So the first half and for stretches, at least in parts of that game, he was magnificent. And then there were within the same game, though, there were also stretches where he made some, obviously more than questionable decisions, and he became erratic in some of his play and inconsistent in some of his play. And that's the thing about Quinn. But I agree, if Quinn balls out, Texas is if he balls out, they got a chance, they're gonna win a national title. If he has a stretch of games that we can say is the best stretch of games we've seen him play, Texas will win the national title. Yeah. We're just not sure if he's gonna have a stretch of games like that. Is he gonna have 1 or 2 games like that? Yeah, of course. But am I saying if Quinn doesn't play the best stretch of football he's ever played, that Texas isn't gonna win a national title? They still can. But I feel confident saying that if he went on a heater. If he goes on a heater, Texas is gonna win it all.
I agree.
Yeah, because the offense now is.
It's not just him. The offensive line and Sark's play calling have to be in the same par. They all have to be in sync.
That's true. Point. Yeah, I feel like Sark's play calling. Haven't we? I have actually been. I thought complimentary of Sark's play calling until the Georgia game. And I think, like I said, that just may be a bad matchup with Georgia and Kirby Smart being the best coach in college football. Like, I don't think we've criticized Sark's play calling a lot this season. I think we did it years prior. 2021, I remember it being a big topic of conversation. 2022, we talked about play calling a lot. 2023, not so much. And in this season, I don't feel like it's been a main item or point of criticism. But against Georgia, yes, I'll admit against Georgia, the play calling was subpar, left a lot to be desired. I'm just not sure if that's just Texas versus Georgia right now. The third quarter, I'll admit something's got to happen there. So if you want to get to Sark and the play calling about the third quarter, that I'll admit, but that just popped up. That's like an issue the last month. It hasn't been a systemic issue all season. And I don't know if there's a play. Last year, it was red zone. Right? Last year was like, red zone play calling has to get better, coach. Like, we got to get better. And that's something even Sark said, that's on me. I got to figure that out. I don't know if there's been a systemic issue like that this season.
I agree.
One thing you can do, you can go back, you can look. I don't know if it's aired yet, but Rod and I have football theory this week.
Yep.
And we pre-taped it, but we go into this pretty deeply into Sark and his play calling and his scripted plays, and throw around some good ideas, in my opinion, on what it could be and why we're having third quarter laps in our offensive production. And so if you want to dig in deeper to that, catch this week's football theory with Rod and I. We go into that pretty deep.
Let's go.
Thank you for that, Coach. I appreciate that. I do know there are some people that believe that Texas, like basically Georgia, they seem to, based on their game plan in the film, they know when Texas is deploying some of their go-to concepts, like wide zone and their screen game. They see I don't know if it's tipping plays. I'm not saying it's tipping plays at all. They're just well coached. And those are like some of the bread and butter plays for Texas. And not only personnel wise, do they match up really well with the defensive ends they have and the linebackers they have really well that they have too. And the DBs that can tackle well in space. But I think the scheme seems to smother some of Texas' favorite concepts too, like the wide zone, like the counter, like the screen game. And then Texas got to resort to something else. And their biggest plays in that game weren't really any of those concepts. Weren't counter, weren't wide zone, not a lot of screens they broke. They were going down the field to get plays. CJ mentioned, those inside breaking routes. They went to the quick outs early on in the game. They were trying to chunk the ball downfield. That's really where they had success. And that's a risk with Georgia because of pass protection. That's always a gamble. That's like playing roulette. I mean, you just throwing it out there. You have no idea if your pass protection is going to hold or not. So it's tough. I mean, that's why they are Georgia. I don't know if there are any easy answers to beating Georgia.
Yeah.
That's
no
the reality of it. All right. Good stuff there, guys. Let's get to we got, you know what? I think we got one question that I wanted to get to here. Oh, how about this one? MJF said we should want a big physical running back in the portal. Yes. Isn't CJ Baxter that, or is that to be an insurance policy behind the CJ Baxter?
Probably more an insurance policy. Again, you just don't know if he's going to come back 100%. You'd love to, and if so, you probably wouldn't need that, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be ready for the start of summer. I don't think he's going to participate in any of the spring. There's a lot of uncertainty there, so it's a need. I don't think it's something Texas could live without.
Yeah. They didn't have that element of their running game this season too, that kind of power element of the running game. And I think it's safe to say they missed that a little bit, no doubt. All right, we come to the end of the winning drive. Thank you guys for all of your participation. Thank you guys for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thank you to our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Thank you as well to our good friends at Duck Camp, duckcamp.com, South Point Dodge, southpointdodge.com as well. We appreciate them. And Hardgrove Roofing. They are the ones that bring us Stevie Lee on Mondays. We appreciate that. And thank you to hardgroveroofing.com. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. Please get somewhere warm because it looks like it's cold out there. CJ, thanks for all the nuggets and all the wisdom. We appreciate you as well. Matthew behind the scenes, he is the real MVP. Can't do it without him. Tomorrow, folks, make sure you catch with Coffee and Football start at 8 a.m. And also we have our 1 p.m. live stream tomorrow. That'll be at 1 p.m. on Fridays. So catch up with us there. If you got any other news that you're concerned about, anything breaks, keep it tuned to On Texas Football, the YouTube channel, ontexasfootball.com. In the meantime, and until next time, hook 'em horns.